Okay, here we go. Sorry, I'm just trying to balance between three different streaming platforms. So today we're actually streaming to YouTube as well as Facebook and Instagram. So I have my Instagram camera on backwards so things don't, or facing me from reverse so that images don't come out backwards. But today I wanted to address a very important topic. It's a very complicated topic. So hopefully what we'll try to do is piece by piece break things down and discuss genomics, right? And you hear me talking about it a lot, and maybe I didn't take the time to explain it properly, but it is important, right? Because we need to make distinctions in vocabulary. So we have things like genetics, we have things like genomics, we have epigenomics and epigenetics, and we'll go over everything, but I think what we'll have to do is go everything step by step. So I am preparing a course specifically for, what I call epigenetic nutrition. We'll be presenting that at Nature's Corner live, May 5th, I believe it is. So be on the lookout for that. Where do we start? And it's very complicated. So we can start with terminology, we can start with definitions, but I think what we're going to really start with is a little bit of history, right? And like we have to always start somewhere. Like, how does it apply? Why did people start looking into it? And then we'll talk about terminology as far as definitions, like what is a gene, what is a chromosome, things that it's in our vocabulary day to day, like it's in my DNA. What does that really mean? What is DNA? And we'll take some time to go over those terminologies and things like what is the definition of genomics? What is the definition of epigenomics? Or what is the definition of epigenetics? And then once we've kind of created a baseline, we can start to talk about how it impacts our health. Because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about, And one of the things we need to clear up is some misunderstandings or misrepresentations or what people discuss about these terminologies and to clarify. So hopefully if we've gone from beginning to end, we started from the beginning, we've clarified terms, then we'll have a better understanding. So next time somebody markets something under a terminology or a guise or something that's relevant and important, or what makes you make these sort of impulse purchases, we can be a little bit smarter about it. Because the fact of the matter is that genomics are very important. There's some significant statistics that impact our health. So, when somebody says 9 out of 10 causes of death are genomic, what does that really mean? It really basically, and this is according to, federal websites about health and how important it is to know about it. If people are saying that 9 out of 10 deaths are caused by genomics, let's pump the brakes right here. This isn't meant to scare anybody into doing something. What it really basically says is that genetically, right, we may or may not have inherited certain conditions, right? The big ones, right, are the top three killers, right? So heart disease, stroke and heart attacks, diabetes, right? The collapse of our metabolic function, and the other one is cancer, right? But what we have to look at is when your doctor looks into your family history and asks you what you have, what your parents had, or what your family history is, we're just basically making some safe assumptions and bets that this might happen to you. It may or may not, but that's what genomics clears up. Right? We can look into the DNA. It's in my DNA. I behave this way because it's in my DNA, or I'm, culturally predisposed to act this way because of my DNA. That may or may not be true. But the fact of the matter is, in our genomics, because of genomics, we can determine what's in our DNA and what might come down the pike, and we can make health decisions. So one of the best examples is why treat stage 4 breast cancer at stage 4, right? What if we did an evaluation of genomics and found out that we have, said condition? And then, we can, one of the things that genomics helps us do is plan for the future. We don't have to freak out right away and assume that we're going to get sick and die, but we can make plans, or we can help avoid things. And that's where things like epigenetics comes in. But, hopefully what I'll do is I'll kind of lay a course out. As I'm preparing for this course, I will just basically broadcast tidbits of information related to this, so that we could be more educated about it. We don't have to freak out if something comes up, or we did a family ancestry. One of the things that comes up is people do family lineage or ancestry or 23andMe, and they find out that they have this condition, and they start freaking out, and then people start going crazy over it. They start taking action. But the best thing to do is, if we have this information, we can make educated decisions. All the experts agree that genomics is an important part of health, right? And it helps us predict something. It helps us find something. It helps us, make the right decisions to avoid it from coming on. Because at the end of the day, just because it's in your DNA doesn't mean that it's going to manifest. And that's why things like epigenetics and environmental factors make all the difference. So hopefully what we'll do here is that we'll actually kind of put something together. We'll start with the history. We'll see where it started, how we got here, who started the science, who inadvertently came up with some concepts, and how misconceptions were kind of established. So one of the things that people assume is that just because it's in your DNA, it's the be all end all. And that was kind of propagated by one of the leading scientists, Watson and Crick was a team. And we didn't hear voices from people like Wilson, who basically said there's environmental factors. And hopefully we'll kind of go over that in the history, and then we'll go over the terminology. And then by the end, we'll wrap up and see what we can do, or what the science says, right? Because everything we talk about here is at least evidence-based. It's not based on marketing. It's not based on, what the hot product is. But it is definitely based on what the research is. And also we have to acknowledge that the research isn't carved in stone, right? Research changes. That's why we do research. That's why we always question in science. It's like, is this valid? Is there another way? Can we reevaluate this? Can we repurpose it? Can we tighten up our studies? Because statistics is definitely a very sort of like flawed field. But at the end of the day, we could basically say that eating more vegetables is good for you. And then we can kind of quantify that in the science. We can say that things like, maybe not drinking or eating processed foods. So one of the people want you to understand is that the reason why processed food companies want you to exercise more is that they're putting the onus on you. Is that, well, the reason you are the way you are and unhealthy is not because of our product. It's because of you don't exercise. So hopefully, at the end of the whole discussion is we'll find ways around that and say that, no, these things are bad for you and vegetables are good. So I'm looking forward to this. I'm very excited about it. It'll all come to fruition on May 5th when we do the full presentation. But hopefully here, step by step, we can at least start introducing it, talking over. And this is a live cast, right? So join in, drop a comment. I might not get to it right away because, again, I'm streaming on 3 different platforms on one screen, but I will definitely get and follow up. If there's something that you want to know specifically, we will definitely address it. But the course we're putting together is about genomic nutrition specifically, but we do have to discuss genomics first before we talk about the nutrition. And here's the other bonus is that there's a lot of services out there that will analyze your genome and tell you what's right to eat. So customized, bespoke, right? Everybody talks about, oh, what a nice custom suit. It fits perfectly on me. What if we can come up with a customized diet that we know that helps us as opposed to hinder us? We'll talk about Blue Zone, right? We talk about these places that have, people that are living above 80 and 90 years old. But why are they living above 80 and 90 years old? Number one, they have the genes for it. Number two, they're eating a very specific diet that turns those genes on and off. And then if you were to take that same person and bring him to the United States and put him on an American diet, chances are he won't hit 80, right? But we'll explore all of this. We'll talk about some new terms. There's one that I'm really excited about, Mediterranean. So yes, it is a new form of fusion dining, but it does specifically talk about what to eat. So with that being said, I want to thank everybody. I know I've been off the radar for a little bit. It's not easy coming up with content, but hopefully this topic is exciting enough to keep it going for a while until we come up with the next topic. So with that being said, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening. And I look forward to talking at you until you reach out and post some comments. So thanks for joining, and we'll be in touch.